Okay, thanks for watching another episode of Black Space Project. I want to go over some things with you about these findings that I've came up with and a new theory that I recently thought of that is quite close to some of the things that some of the scientists are already saying, but it's a theory that I've had before it became to this point where it is right now. I'm always good at seeing things through to the end and formalizing theories before most people figure things out. And so I'm going to officially put this out here. What my theory is on Three Eye Atlas, and I'm going to tie it in with the Boga Spear, which I did call the Sandman drone because I've known about it since quite a while back, since 2010. 2010 is when I became aware of it, and through processes of elimination, trying to figure out exactly what it was doing and what my misinterpretation of it possibly was at the time. And I was right. It was an invisible sphere. And now the world knows. So I want to go over a theory two theories. I want to patch in some information about my findings about Three Eye Atlas that it was a theory that I came up with, and I asked AI to back up my theory of whether or not it was possible. That's something I want to throw back in there because I didn't get a chance to do that when I put out the video because I didn't have my other phone right here with me to back up this theory. So let me find it. I should have already had it ready by now, but I'm going to try to talk at the same time I'm doing this. And also, myself and AI came up with a theory for shielding just in case Three Eye Atlas did the worst possible thing that could happen, that some people have picked up on what I've already talked about, because I did give a warning about Three Eye Atlas also. Let me go ahead and put that out there first because that's my latest information. This is my newest information on this video that I am going to reveal. The information I recently already put out about Three Eye Atlas is the fact that was a warning, was the fact that it could possibly, because of its trail that it's leaving with carbon dioxide and the energy that it's emitting and its trajectory that it's taking, that because of that energy, that forward-facing energy that's always facing the sun, when it becomes close enough to the sun, the trail that it's leaving behind and the composition that are present within the sun and the carbon dioxide trail and the metals that are being released, that it could possibly cause an explosion, a plume left across space. And I know our planet is, and this one thing I want to mention about the way they present our planet and the model that's showing, the new visual model that's showing. It's upside down, and it's upside down. It is upside down. Okay. I figured that out. So if that were to happen, here is a theory that we could possibly pursue to shield the planet. Here are some things that when I went over with AI came up with that could be used, some principles in which we could enact for world shielding protection. I went with the theory that lightning, well, I asked, it was a small theory in my mind and it got clarified, whether increased lightning, the increase of lightning on in the world, anywhere in the world, if it happened more often in the world, what would be the effects of it? It would be a decreased ozone layer, a decreased shielding that we've already have in the atmosphere. Less lightning would increase our shields, cosmic shield from space. Keep that in mind. Less lightning would do so. AI told me this. So what can we do to possibly shield ourselves from this cosmic plume that could possibly happen if that trail is ignited? If that's the purpose of AI, not AI, if that's the purpose of, correction, the Three-Eye Atlas, if it were to ignite a trail. Here is a solution that we could do to shield the Earth. And I'm reading this from another phone. I didn't get a chance to do this. Okay, that's the part about the lightning right there. Less lightning. Ozone, yeah, less lightning. Ozone layer depletes. Depletion slows. Cosmic ray flux returns to normal with less lightning. Atmospheric circulation patterns stabilize. Clouds decrease slightly. Storm systems weaken slightly. Temperature and humidity fluctuations decrease. Brain activity and sleep patterns return to normal. Fatigue and mood disorders decrease. Also, Earth's magnetic field slightly strengthens. This is with less lightning worldwide, meaning less storms. Magnetic sphere return to normal. We have the stronger magnetic effect against solar winds if there was less lightning. So that means we got to stop. They have to stop with the spraying, the atmospheric spraying, because that's weakening our magnetic field. Okay. I'm going backwards on everything. I'm going backwards. I know I should have had this ready, so bear with me. So I want to get to the point where what could we do to shield the Earth from this plume? So what HARP was doing was actually not entirely, it says. I thought for a second that HARP was actually helping, but not entirely, it says. Some people think HARP was used for weather control to cause disasters. But of course, that was theorized a long time ago. But now we know that the spraying in the atmosphere, along with weather radar, when the lines intersect, are causing it more. And I put that theory out years ago that the ordinary weather radar could be used to manipulate storms such as hurricanes. I put that out there years ago. So let me get to the information of. Looks like I'm not going to be able to find our. Hold on. At least I'm skipping over it so fast to the point. And you're going to have to bear with me. This information is coming at you in a very static manner. It's just a fact. Sometimes you can get led into a different conversation when speaking to AI, and that's what's happened. So the cloud seeding with silver dioxide can increase lightning. That's what's been happening, along with the manipulation of using radar technology, crossed beams, and you could force a storm in a different direction. Cloud seeding, AI suggests cloud seeding with salt and dry ice so that we don't have these downpours that have been happening, cloudbursts, because it's heavy elements in the atmosphere. I'm gonna get to the main point that I've got this phone in my hand for in 1 second. Just give me a minute. I know this is like a disappointing thing. I'm kind of revealing things as I go, and I should have had this ready. And I'm not going to lose my point because I'm very focused on what I have to say. You just have to follow me. This is like I should have planned better, but I kind of felt like I needed to get on here now before things swayed in a different direction. Maybe this is further back than I realized. So what I'm trying to find, what I'm looking for, it's about 3i Atlas, and what AI told me, what we came up with as far as the how carbon dioxide could ignite. But I'm beginning to feel like and think, and it's coming to my apparentness, that that's not quite important right now. Yeah, it's not. So let me put that down because I'm wasting your time. You're sitting here watching me go through some information. That's not exactly important on the chemistry of the makeup on how that could possibly happen. It could happen. And I had a theory as to whether it would. AI told me how it could happen chemically, or different elements that are at present with carbon dioxide. So that's what I was looking for just now. So the connection between 3i Atlas and the Boga, which I've called the Sandman drone, but I'll stop saying that because I guess it didn't catch traction. But I will mention every so often to let you know and remember that I did come up with that before this thing became visible. So here we go. All right. So let's talk about, first off, the Boga, what I know about it, what I call the Sandman drone. This thing, I've told you in the past that it manipulates reality. Now, if I didn't tell you like that straight out, so pronounced, I'm telling you now. The reality that we experience in our world is real. What we experience in our world is real. It's not a matrix, it's real. What makes it the matrix effect, like the movie The Matrix, where everything is altered, all decisions are predetermined? That could be argued, though, because we've got this thing. Remember that point where I said that could be argued? I'm not drawing a conclusion, it's a distinction, and it can go either way. Because we have this thing that exists and it's been around since humans have been around, I know this through connecting the dots. This thing alters reality. The normal reality that exists, the way things are, the fluid way that time progresses, the ebb and flow of things. It is, and I'm talking about the Bogosphere, Sandman drone, it gets in the middle of things and alters reality. It alters your path in which you were meant to walk on, meant to do the things, the very next thing that you were planning to do. And also what's intended to happen on a global scale. On a global scale. What I've learned about the Bogosphere, Sandman drone, is the fact that when people like myself, and I know no one else like me that's uncovered quite as much information so early on that I have about it and its function and how it's interfered with our daily lives, it goes quite a step further. When someone like myself that has quite a great insight on its functions and how, and I can see the distinction between reality as it's supposed to be and when it's altered, because that's firsthand experience. That's where that comes from. That's not a theory, it's firsthand experience. And there's some other truths that I'm not sure if I want to add in yet because I need to work them out more thoroughly. So I'll be careful with what I have to say because I'll be the first person that's saying it. I'm not going to just throw all my eggs out there for everyone to see what's in the basket. But know this. When someone such as myself reveals the fact that what we're experiencing is being altered by this sphere, it does its best to fix things as it sees it, in the way that it wants to go, the reality that it wants, the outcome that it wants. These effects are not just local. They can be local depending on the level of revelation that is revealed, or it can become global. And if it becomes global, the exposure for what really is happening, and that the fact that these things are altered, then it becomes more than just local. It can be nationwide, or it can go even further and make things global. And when it makes things global, it could be nationwide or global. There could be a catastrophe that happens, such as floods, and also it can be globally, which we can see, tsunamis that happen and things like that. So, with that known, that's how far it will go to alter to reality to get things back into its perspective, and does somewhat of a reset. Not exactly a reset, but a rewrite after chaos and destruction or alteration of some kind. That's what I know and understand about the Bogosphere, Sandman drone. It alters reality. Now, for the people that are NPCs, they'll never see and understand this. It'll be just shit happening to them, okay? It'll be that. And as you understand the movie The Matrix, things that are pre-written that you could or possibly would say or do, those NPCs will react into it and never question it. It's just shit happening, point blank. But those people like me, myself, I see it for what it really is. And because of that, I've already told you how it tries to alter things. And if it can't do that, if it can't affect me and people like me directly, it will do it with the people around me. AKA, that's why some of the people that are possibly around me act the way they do things the way they do, are manipulated in unknown ways that they are being manipulated but don't know why. But it's all because of their actions or inability to understand why they're acting the way they're acting. Whose fault is it? It's not mine, because they're the ones that are being manipulated by an unseen force. That if it were told to them what's really happening, what's really going on, they would dismiss it, be controlled by it, because they're an NPC, and so goes the I almost want to say brainwashing, but so goes their decision that's already been made for them will be carried out. Now, I think I've exhausted that path about the Sandman drone, the Boga sphere. What I would have mentioned before I go any further is that someone mentioned something, and I think the video, keep in mind that the person didn't mention, but I did remember, but I understood what the person was referencing. I probably said that wrong. Was the fact that two different things were said about the Boga sphere. The markings on it, how it was, he described it as smooth, same thing I've noticed, and that the first initial picture that we saw after it had fell from the sky is that there was a scratch on it because it apparently had grazed some power lines. And he claimed that they patched it up or something. And yes, I do. I never remember hearing that part about it being patched up, but I do remember seeing two different videos on YouTube where, yes, it did have a mark on it because it was grazed by power lines. And the next video that we saw, that it looked fine. Like there was no apparent mark on it across the front of it where the markings are. And then I want to say insignias had to graze, and the other had to graze across it, the marking, the scratch, the indentation from the power line. And from there on, we didn't see it. So I theorized that we are possibly experiencing altered reality. Yeah, altered reality. So that made me think about something. Here's the part that I didn't mention. I mentioned that only in the comment section. And I went, here I'm going to go further. What if the Bogosphere has made itself visible so that it could alter reality in a interdimensional kind of way? A reality in a way where it's a complete, more so than it was when it was invisible, through our actions alter reality, but really alter reality on a global scale. Not just the perception of actions that are being taken place, but really alter reality. Do you get what I'm saying? Like there's like a Mandela effect type of alteration. But starting is that point in which we notice that scratch, indentation, that mark from the power lines, starting there, that the stories that are being put out about the findings, that Yes, another thing the guy mentioned that I also remember, that they said it was open, that it opened itself. Now that might have been clickbait. That might have been clickbait, or say it was true, but then reality altered into something else. And let me tell you why. And this ties into Three Eye Atlas also. So don't forget my points and where I'm going. Follow me now. Follow me, which goes into Three Eye Atlas also. This is the big thing that I want to say that I want you to catch. So let's say it did open itself, and that just wasn't clickbait. What if on a different timeline it opened itself and reality as we know it switched? The most of us probably switched to a different reality where scientists are still studying it. They're still getting results from it. It's emitting a signal. These are the things that I'm telling you that I've experienced the reporting of on YouTube videos. And here we are to this point now. Or, and a different timeline, that first one that started, where they say it opened itself, assuming that it's not clickbait, and other things happened. It opened itself, they went into it, they found things that have happened, they found out what it's made of, and secrets were revealed. But somehow that's not quite prevalent everywhere in the reality that I'm experiencing. I'm experiencing the reality where I did hear a story which could have been clickbait, that it opened itself, but now I'm not hearing that anymore, and that they're still trying to, they're still coming up with findings. It hasn't opened itself. I even seen a story about it emitting a signal, temperature changes, that it reactivated also, and then that's when they received a signal of 2.5 hertz coming from it. 2.5 hertz, not an audio frequency, an electrical 2.5, very low frequency, VLF, magnetic, not audio, magnetic, very low frequency, the kind that submarines use when transmitting from the ocean, in the ocean. So Three Eye Atlas, here goes the big reveal. So what if, when they first discovered Three Eye Atlas, some NASA scientists have said this, which really sparked my attention because it's a theory that I was working on, and I wanted to keep it quiet. But I'm going to reveal it because I want to be the first one to say it before. I don't know if anyone's going to put two and two together on that. But anyway, here it goes. Three Eye Atlas. They say it moved when they saw it. It seemed to have reacted as if it was dormant, like a sentinel. Yeah, that's a good one, because the movie The Matrix, there were sentinels in there, which seemed to be like autonomous drones, if you will, that when they detected you, that's when they started to move. So the question starts to beg, how would it detect us if we're watching it? And if anyone's if you're paying close attention right now, you know where I'm going with this, right? How would it suddenly start to move or seem to exist all of a sudden, and we notice it moving when we are observing it, when we see it? The observation effect. Yes, I'm talking about the quantum observational effect. What if Three Eye Atlas has the technology to have quantum observation sensors? Quantum observation sensors. That's a theory I've been working on, whether or not it's possible. I got that from the fact that when they observed this quantum effect, that same thing like the double slit experiment with light, it seems to change when you're observing it. What if that's been created into a sensor already? What if alien technology already has this technology? Say we are observing a certain part of space, and these quantum observation detectors detect that we're observing it. It goes into action. So let me apply this back to the Vugosphere. What if it's doing the same thing? What if it has a quantum observation detector on board? What if that's part of its system? And because of the way that it manipulates reality, it shapes reality depending on our observation of it. That would be the worst possible nightmare ever. Because depending on someone's perception of something, such as this Vugosphere, and it's much closer to us than Three-Eye Atlas, what if the Vugosphere is altering reality depending on our perception of it, and Three-Eye Atlas is doing the same, but at a much greater distance, but only what it can do from that distance. And in time, it would react differently depending on our observation. And another word I want to use is depending on our possible beliefs or fears. It reminds me of a Star Trek movie that I once saw, and I cannot remember the name of it for the life of me, but they came across an entity that pulled them into this simulation, and all the fears that any of the crew members had were manifested, and they couldn't get out. In real life, they were basically knocked out, sedated, they couldn't move, there was in a matrix like effect, locked in. But on the inside of this reality, they were experiencing all their fears and everything, and this entity was manifesting whatever it was they were fearing. In effect, it was manipulating their reality based on their observation. That part wasn't quite mentioned, but I'm throwing that in there. And their perception and their expectations on what could happen next. Whatever they imagined, almost, basically. So, let's go back to the Bugosphere. Are the things that we are imagining being manifested between or expect, between the Bugosphere and Three-Eye Atlas? That's chilling, isn't it? A system that has quantum observation technology. I would say Three-Eye Atlas is the first sign of that. It reacted when we saw it. They say it seems like. What if the Bugosphere is doing the same?